Clarity is the starting point of all success. Clarity means the ability to determine exactly what it is that you want to be, have, or do in life. And the more I study successful men and women, the more I find that every single one of them, the top 5%, are very clear about where it is they're going and what it is they want to accomplish. And when I look at unsuccessful men and women, or men and women who seem to be unhappy and floundering, I find that almost invariably they have a very, very limited sense of direction, sometimes no sense of direction at all. You see, we as human beings are goal-seeking organisms. We only function at our very best when we're working toward accomplishing something that is important to us. And in my estimation, 80 to 90% of all the unhappiness, hostility, violence, psychosomatic illness, alcoholism, drug addiction, and so on in our society is caused by people having no sense of direction. They don't know where they're going. As they say, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. Now, if you understand this principle is terribly important. You can be the most talented, the smartest, the best educated person with the most valuable contacts and all the advantages in life, but if you are not focused, it doesn't do you any good at all. If you do not have clear, specific goals for your life, you are doomed forever to work for people who do. And that seems to be the case. And yet only 5% of people have goals. So the key starting point with regard to clarity is to know where it is you're going and what it is you want to be and what it is you want to have and what it is you want to do. Because in America, in the most blessed society in all of human history, you can have anything in the world that you want if you could decide what it is that you want. The second key with regard to clarity is decisiveness. Be decisive. I've never met a successful person who was indecisive, and I've never met a failure who is decisive. Be decisive. Develop the characteristic and quality of decisiveness. We know that the reason why we are indecisive is because we're afraid of making a mistake. But the terrible thing is that the way that we think becomes a habit, and the habit of indecisiveness can condemn us to failure. We can be talented and intelligent and ambitious, but if we cannot make the hard decisions in our life, and if we cannot make decisions readily, then what happens is we always have to work for people who do make decisions readily. Now, the interesting thing about decisions is that about 80% of decisions should be made the first time they come up. 80% of decisions should be made the first time they come up. And if you make decisions every single time they come up, sooner or later you will develop the habit of decisiveness. You'll be very clear about what it is you want, and it's easy to make decisions if you know what it is you want to accomplish. One of the major reasons why people are indecisive, in my experience, is they have no idea what they want to accomplish. It's almost like they come to the crossroads, but they don't know which direction to go. 80% of all decisions should be made the first time they come up. The thing to do about decisions is to make a decision. And if that doesn't work, make another decision. And if that doesn't work, make another decision. And if that still doesn't work, you're probably in the wrong field anyway. But the interesting thing is that if you make a decision, you gather momentum. And the difference between successes and failures is not that successful people make right decisions. It is that successful people make their decisions right. In other words, once they have made a decision, they make it come out right. The third point under clarity is to have a vision for yourself and a vision for your life. The key to having a vision is to have a dream. They say in the song, you've got to have a dream if you want to make a dream come true. And you can fulfill your dreams. All the great movers and shakers throughout all of history have been dreamers. They've been people with dreams. They've been people with visions. All leaders have vision. In the book of Solomon, it says, where there is no vision, the people perish. And the metaphysical meaning of that is that where people lack vision, they perish inside, because they lose the excitement and the thrill of life. And what most people do, because of negative experiences, because of fear of failure and so on, is if they have a vision at all, they tone it down so it's so small and so safe that it doesn't turn them on. It doesn't excite them, and they wonder why life isn't exciting. The best way to predict the future is to create it, which means to have a vision, and even though the vision is in the air or the sky, then build a foundation under your dreams. And when you see men and women who rise from poverty and obscurity to fame and renown, you invariably see someone who had a vision of what they could be and have and do that was far beyond what they were. Every one of us has had an experience. At one time when we were small, we had a vision of being grown up and having our own cars. And as we grew older, we had a vision of having our own homes and our own families. And as we grew older, we had a vision of traveling and going to Europe. We fulfill all our visions. The wonderful thing is this, is that we always tend to achieve our goals. The problem is that our goals are set so low that even when we do achieve them, they don't turn us on. They don't fill us with enthusiasm. So dream big dreams, if you like, and focus on results, not activities. This is the key. Be clear about the results that you're trying to accomplish. This is one of the keys of peak performance, by the way. All peak performers are result-oriented. All losers or underachievers tend to be activity-oriented. And in activity orientation, what they do is they work very, very hard. Sometimes they work frantically. Sometimes they work longer hours than you do, but they lose sight of the results. Ben Trigo, the strategic thinker, said, the very worst thing in the world is to do very efficiently what need not be done at all. And many of us work very, very hard to do very efficiently what need not be done at all. Focus on results. Here's a key question to ask yourself when in your working life. I think it's one of the most important key questions. I'll give you two. Number one is, what results are expected of me? What results are expected of me? Not what activities, but what results or what outputs, what am I supposed to produce in my job? Major reason why people fail in life is because of the expediency factor. That we always do, and we always take the fastest and easiest route to get the things that we want. But the fastest and easiest route in life is almost always the route to failure. It's short-term gain for long-term pain. We do what is fun and easy today instead of what is hard and necessary, and then we have to do what is hard and necessary at the end of our life when it's too late. And you'll find that the willingness and the ability to discipline yourself, to be clear about what it is you want, to be clear where you're going, to be clear about the results that you're expected to accomplish, and then to only work on those results. The ability to discipline yourself to do that is absolutely critical for success. It is not possible to conceive of a person being successful who is not capable of disciplining themselves to do what is hard and what is necessary rather than what is fun and easy. Write out your goals. All goals have to be in writing, by the way. If you don't have your goals in writing, then they're not really goals at all. They're merely wishes. And as they say, a wish is merely a goal without any energy behind it. Have your goals in writing. Write them out very specifically and clearly, and then do this. Every single morning, rewrite your major goals in the first person singular as though they already existed. Rewrite your major goals every single morning. Now, this should take you about 2 to 4 minutes, maybe 5. You can do it all in a paragraph. If, for instance, if your goal is to earn $50,000 a year, every single morning write, I earn $50,000 a year. If your goal is to be excellent in real estate, say, I am an excellent salesperson in my field. If your goal is to weigh a certain number of pounds, if your goal is to enjoy a certain kind of life, write down your major goals in the first person singular as though they already existed today every single morning. And then every single evening, take about 5-10 minutes, instead of watching television, just before you turn on the television, say, wait a second, I've got to review my progress. And sit down and review what you've done in the course of the day and say, what have I done right today? What have I done right that's moved me toward my goals? And second question is, what would I do differently if I had today to do over again? Those 4 steps, by the way, writing and rewriting your goal each morning, reviewing them in the evening, and asking yourself those 2 questions. What did I do right? What did I do that moved me toward my goals today? And what would I do differently if I had the day to live over? If you'll ask yourself those 2 questions, in the next 30 days, you'll accomplish more than you accomplished in the last 6 months. This is the most incredible method I've ever seen. I learned it some years ago. Just rewrite your goals every morning. Because every time you write your goals down, you're programming them into your subconscious mind. When you program them into your subconscious mind, you set up a field of vibration within your brain. And this law of attraction, based on this field of vibration, attracts into your life people and circumstances that harmonize with your dominant thoughts. Everybody here has had the experience of starting to read about a subject, think about a subject, become interested in a subject, and suddenly you started to attract into your life books, magazines, articles, conversations, people, opportunities to expand on that subject. Have you had that experience before? What you do is you create a force field, which we cannot explain scientifically, but it is a field of vibration that goes out from you and attracts back into your life everything that you need to realize your dominant goals. And everybody's had the experience of writing down their goals at the beginning of the year and opening up the envelope at the end of the year and finding that 80% of the goals have been accomplished. Have you ever had that experience? Absolutely remarkable, isn't it? The only problem with goals is that we don't set enough of them and we don't set them highly enough. You can have anything you want. Imagine you could have anything that you want, anything that you can hold in your mind on a continuing basis you can have. Anything that you are crystal clear about wanting and are willing to pay the price to get, you can have. So clarity is the key. Be clear about what you want. Be clear about what you have to do to get it. Be clear about your vision. Be clear, speak, walk, talk, and act with clarity.
So let me give you a 7-step goal setting process that you can use, and then I'm going to give you a simple exercise that you can take home and do when you get home that will make this a great year. Here are the 7 steps to goal setting. First of all, decide exactly what you want. Now the rule is that you need 3 types of goals. All right, you need business and career goals because we have to make a living and pay the bills. Also, you need personal and family goals. You need personal and family goals because these are the most important things that we do. And number 3 is you need self-improvement goals. Whatever got you to where you are today is not enough to get you any further. You can't get any further in life today with your current level of knowledge and skill. Your business and career goals are the what that you want. Your family and personal goals are the how, or the why you're doing what you're doing, and your self-improvement goals are the how. So decide exactly what you want, and that's the starting point, and make sure you have a balanced set of goals. You can work on 10 to 15 goals at a time, but as we say in a minute, you have to have one major goal. Number 2 is write it down, make it specific, and set a deadline. Having a goal without a deadline is like sewing without a knot in the end of the thread. Your life just goes around in circles. So you have to decide exactly what you want. You have to write it down clearly and set a deadline. I always, when I write my goals, I write buy. I achieve such and such, buy. I sell such and such, buy. I accumulate so much money, buy. I weigh so and so many pounds, buy. So that what that does, it tells your subconscious and your superconscious mind that there's a use-by date on your goal, that there's a time frame. And psychologists say that a programmed date acts like a forcing system. It impels you unconsciously to move toward the goal, and by the law of attraction, it begins to attract the goal into your life. And things start to move. There's a law called the law of accelerating acceleration that says when you start toward your goal, your goal starts toward you. And it starts to move toward you at a rapid rate. And the faster you move toward your goal, the faster the goal moves toward you. And that's where very often you'll achieve your goal and you find out that a whole bunch of other things have been going on that made it possible. So the law of accelerating acceleration says the greater clarity you have with regard to the goal, the faster you move toward it and the faster it moves toward you. Which brings us to number 3, is identify the obstacles you will have to overcome to achieve your goal. Now between you and your goal, your goal, there will always be obstacles. The difference between success and achievement, by the way, is success means you get what you want, but achievement means you overcome obstacles to achieve a goal. Someone asked me recently on a radio show, what's the difference between a goal and an activity like making sales calls? Well, a goal is something where there's adversity and difficulty and challenge and a possibility of failure. Making sales calls is merely an activity. You can just do it or not do it. Having lunch is not a goal. Going for a walk is not a goal, it's an activity. But a goal is something that's big, measurable, important, that can have an effect on your life. So identify the obstacles. And what we know is that here is you, and between you and anything you want, imagine there's a road, and here's your goal. And on the road, there are detours, and there are construction and side tracks and so on, but there's always one rock that has fallen off the mountain onto your goal. So the question is, what is your rock? What is the major obstacle that stands between you and the achievement of your goal? And what we know in the answer to this question is the 80-20 rule that says that 80% of your rocks, your big obstacles, are within yourself. They are within your own knowledge, your own skill, and within your own qualities. Someone was asking me earlier about self-discipline. Does everybody here feel they need a little bit more self-discipline? Say yes. Yeah. All good people, even the most highly disciplined people, feel their self-discipline sucks. It's interesting. People that don't think about it have no future at all. I can tell you that. But we all, the reason you're successful is because of your level of self-discipline, but we all have the nagging feeling that we need more. And you're right. we need more, and we can never slack off. It's like working out with muscles, and you stop working out with them for any period of time, they start to get sloppy again. You just have to keep working self-discipline all the time. You never get it down perfect. So 80% of all of your rocks, the obstacles that hold you back, are within yourself. Only 20% are external. So remember we said earlier, the question is, what is it in me? If you're not achieving a goal, say, what is it in me? What quality, skill, ability, attribute am I lacking? And then go to work on yourself. And very often that's where you'll find the problem. Now, number 4 step in setting goals is identify the additional knowledge and skills you will require. As Les Brown would say, to achieve something you've never achieved before, you have to become someone you've never been before. You have to learn something you've never learned before. You have to apply something you've never applied before. Identify the additional knowledge and skills you will require. Now, here is our discovery, and it's this, is that there's usually one skill that is your rock. It's your major constraint on your success. And the way you discover your one skill is you ask yourself this magic question. This, by the way, is a life-changing, double your income, transform your future question. One of the best I've ever learned. You say, what one skill, if I was excellent at it, would help me the most? You could say, would help me the most to achieve my major goal, would help me the most to double my income, would help me the most to achieve financial independence. Which one skill would help you the most? And when you ask this question, the answer will pop into your mind. And almost invariably, it is a skill that you don't like. It's prospecting, it's closing, it's telephoning, it's something that you don't like to do. Now, why is it that we feel uncomfortable with a particular skill or in a particular skill area? Why? Because we're not good at it yet. We're just not good at it yet, that's all. And however, the good news is that it's a learnable skill. So here's the two rules, which I shared with you in the past. Rule number one is that any skill is learnable. All business skills, all sales skills, all money-making skills are learnable skills. Everyone who has them today at one time did not have them at all and learned them. Everyone who has them today was once uncomfortable and nervous and embarrassed and frustrated with them and has now mastered them. So all skills are learnable. Now here is the tragedy. Imagine that you are meant to earn 2 or 3 or 5 times what you're earning today, and you're only one skill away from doing it. Imagine, and many people go through their whole lives worrying about money when they're one skill away from being at the top of their field. If they were too lazy or too afraid because of learned helplessness, I can't do that, or the comfort zone, oh, I'm doing all right. And because of those two, they never learned the skill necessary to blast them to the top. When you start to win, when you start to get incredible results in life because of your new skills, the difference is phenomenal. And if it takes you a week, a month, a year to learn the skill, the payoff is so great you forget instantly all the work of learning the skill. So don't let yourself be held back because of a missing skill. So the first rule is all skills necessary for success are learnable. The second rule is you are probably only one skill away from doubling your income right now, and you know what that skill is. Don't let that skill hold you back because of learned helplessness or because of anything that's happened in the past. If other people can master that skill, so can you. Is that right? Say yes. Yes. Very important. And if you wonder if you can master the skill, just repeat the words, I can do it. Number 5 is identify the people whose help and cooperation you will require. You'll need the help and cooperation of your family if you're going to accomplish big goals. You'll need the help and cooperation of your boss. You'll need the help and cooperation of your customers and your bankers and your friends. You'll need the help and cooperation of lots of people. But identify the people whose help you, and then ask yourself this question, what's in it for them? W-I-I-F, them. And always start off by saying, what will I give them in order to get their support and cooperation? The average person who accomplishes very little always thinks in terms of how they can get something out of someone else. The top person thinks how they can give something to someone else to get them to want to help them. So always go with the reasons why it's to somebody else's advantage to help you. And it's amazing how much people will support you if there's a reason for them. So who's people, and of all these people, who's the most important person? Who's the most important person in your world whose help you will require in order to be successful? Is it your boss? Is it your major customer? Is it your banker? Is it your spouse? Interesting, there's an enormous amount of talk, which I think consider pablum talk, about how you always have to keep your life in balance all the time. Well, it's simply not true, because there are times in your life where you're going to have to work your head off in order to break out of the pack. Like the beginning of a marathon, with all those runners, you're going to have to run faster to get ahead. And so you're going to have to go to what is called a deliberate extreme. A deliberate extreme is where you're going to have to work far more days and hours than is normal in order for you to get a new business started, a new career started, a new product or service launched, or something else. If you're going to have to go through a deliberate extreme, then sit down with your spouse, your kids, and so on, and tell them, this is what I'm going to have to do in order to take full advantage of this opportunity, but if you'll bear with me, I'll make it up to you. And we find one of the primary reasons for negative emotions is frustrated expectations. In life, if what you will do is you will explain to people what's going on before they become angry and upset, if you will then tell them so that their expectations are consistent with reality, you'll eliminate most of your problems. Number 6 is make a plan. And plans are very simple, because what you do is you just make a list. You start off with a list of everything you'll have to do. You've already identified it. You know what the goal is. You've broken the goal down into sub-deadlines. You've identified the knowledge you'll require, the obstacles you'll have to overcome, the people whose cooperation you'll require. Make a list of everything you'll have to do, and then organize the list, first of all, by sequence, which means what comes first. What do you have to do before you do something else? And then second of all, by priority, which is what is more important and what is less important. And once you have a list organized by sequence and priority, you have a plan. Now you have the two great requirements for winning. You have a goal and a plan. Now, does it take a little while to do this? Yes. But once you have the goal and the plan, the very act of completing them programs them into your subconscious mind. We, in our advanced coaching programs, we teach people to write down and create goals and plans. And then once they've done it all, 90 days later, they come back. I say, how many of you reviewed your goals and plans in the last 90 days? Most of them didn't do it. How many of you achieved your goals and plans? All of them. But the most amazing darn thing, because by writing them out, they've programmed them into their subconscious mind, which passes it off like a baton to the superconscious, which then works 24 hours a day to bring it into their lives. And the most remarkable coincidences occur. Things start to happen. The phone rings. People sit down next to you socially and give you advice. Your boss gives you opportunities. Doors open. You get intuitions and insights. The most phenomenal things, because you've programmed yourself with a goal and a plan. That's why people with goals and plans, according to the best research, accomplish 10 times as much as people without goals and plans. 1,000% more than people without. So write down what you want and make it clear so that the universe can help you get it. Your job is to give to the universe an absolutely crystal clear picture of the goal that you want, which you can only get by thinking it through and writing it down. So here's the exercise, and this is your homework exercise. Take a clean piece of paper when you get home, and this is the only test. This is a take-home test. This is a test to see how badly you really want to make next year a fabulous year. And so at the top of this page, write the word goals. Some of you have seen this before. I need to teach it to everybody. And you're going to write down 10 goals. And these goals, you can write more than 10 if you like, but you must write a minimum of 10. These goals are one-year goals, approximately. These are goals that you want to accomplish this year. Health, income, car, travel, fitness, and so on. You write them in the present tense as though a year has passed and you are reporting they've already been achieved. I drive such and such a car. I live in such and such a house. I weigh certain many pounds. I take such and such a vacation. I write down, one of my goals is spend time with my family. The more often I write it down, repeatedly, the more time I spend with my family. If it's an important goal, then, and you don't write it down, what happens is it gets shuffled aside. You write it and make it positive. Not I will lose weight, but I am weigh X number of pounds. Not I will quit smoking, but I am a non-smoker. So it's always a positive statement. And third of all, it's always personal. Every goal you ever write for the rest of your life begins with the word I, because you are the only person in the universe who can use the word I with regard to yourself, and you follow it with an action verb. I earn, I sell, I drive, I live in, I achieve, I accomplish, I acquire, I save, but always make it I plus an action verb. That's the way the subconscious mind accepts instructions. When this instruction comes in like that, it's immediately passed on to the superconscious. I have taken people through this exercise all over the world once, and I come back a year or 2 years later, and they say the same words in every language. You won't believe what's happened to me. I wrote down those goals, and I never looked at them again. You won't believe what's happened to me. You won't believe it. I found those goals in something a year later, and you won't believe what's happened to me. I've accomplished all the goals. I never looked at it again. Because when you write down a goal, you activate 3 learning modalities. The visual, you can see it. The auditory, you sub-vocalize it, you say it to yourself. And the kinesthetic, you write it. All 3 together goes, and it goes straight into the subconscious mind. And it's passed on like one of those vacuum tubes for messages in old stores, goes boom, straight into the superconscious. And just go on with the rest of your life. And 24 hours a day, this great superconscious mind is working to bring the goal into your life. Okay, now you've got your list of goals. Here's my list right here. I do this all the time. Then you look at this list, and this is the kicker. You ask yourself, if you could wave a magic wand and achieve any one goal on this list, these are your one-year goals, but imagine you could have a special dispensation and wave a magic wand and you could have any one goal within 24 hours. Which one of these goals would have the greatest positive impact on your life? And you look at your list, and I can assure you that the right answer will jump out at you. Usually it's a financial goal, because if you achieve a financial goal, it'll have an impact on everything else. But sometimes it's a health goal, sometimes it's a business goal, sometimes it's a relationship goal. So once you have this goal, now this becomes your major definite purpose. This becomes the organizing principle of your life. This becomes the goal that is going to change your life, because now you begin to think about this goal all the time. So when you get a chance, you sit down and you write this goal at the top of a page, and you set a deadline for the goal. And then you identify all the obstacles you'll have to remove in order to achieve the goal, all of the knowledge and skill you require to achieve the goal, the people whose help that you'll require. You make a plan, you organize the plan, and you work on the plan every day. When you get up in the morning, you think about the goal. When you go through the day, you think about the goal. Whenever something gets you off track, you stop with it, think about the goal. Because the goal is always inherently positive. When you think about the goal, you become happy. When you think about your goal, your self-esteem and your self-confidence goes up, and it's absolutely inevitable that you start to move toward the goal. And as you move toward the goal, you feel powerful. You feel like a winner. You feel like you're in control of your life, and your self-confidence goes up, and your self-esteem goes up. And as sure as God made little green apples, you will accomplish that goal. And when you accomplish that goal, you get this rush I was talking about that tells you, hey, I can do anything. I can do anything I put my mind to. And once you know you can do anything you put your mind to, your self-confidence will go through the roof. You'll set bigger goals, you put more zeros at the end of your goals, and you become unstoppable. Once you set a goal, remember those great words from Eugene Kranz at the Apollo 13 mission: failure is not an option. And once you decided that failure is not an option, your self-confidence and self-esteem will go through the roof. There is nothing that you can't do if you put your mind to it. So go out there and kick some butt and take some names. Thank you very much.